Peggy 18.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Today we are going to break down the case of the Snedeker family, a family who rose to fame barely lasting a year before being thrown to the side and overtaken by the Smurl case, whose history has been forever tarnished by poor critique reviews on their only movie, The Haunting in Connecticut. Were they haunted by the dead within their halls, or was their schizophrenic son simply the problem? We're here to answer that question in today's video. Welcome to the Warren Files. All the people who come to us are crazy. You'd think sane people would come to us? That is what Ray Garton, the author of In a Dark Place, who prior to working with the Warrens only wrote fiction, said years later when asked about working with the Warrens. You see, the Snedeker family for years now have had their case watered down to nothing more than hallucinations from drug abuse. In 1986, Carmen and Al Snedeker moved into the home in Connecticut. This move was so they could be closer to the hospital if someone was going for an illness called Hodgkin's lymphoma. But it turned out that their house used to be a funeral home. A former owner of the home, Daryl Kern, confirmed that prior to being a house, it served as the Halland Funeral Home according to a website called Chasing the Frog. Now the Snedekers, especially Carmen, who's the mother, claimed that she had no clue what the house once was. But Daryl Kern, who also happened to be an in-house neighbor, meaning he literally lived with them during everything, by the way, just on the second floor in a different room, claimed that the family was fully informed of the situation prior to being rented by the Snedekers. But nothing stopped the Snedekers from claiming paranormal activity was occurring in the house. Carmen alleged she began experiencing strange phenomena like items appearing, strange people in the house, voices, and hundreds of birds taking flight. She also alleged that acts of sodomy were being done on her husband. Mop water was reported turning to blood, and the house smelled of rotting flesh. Even apparitions were seen in the house. The children also had experiences of their own. The young brother allegedly laid down on a gurney in what was once the morgue room of the house, and it suddenly started spinning. That same boy also claimed that the lights would turn on and off by themselves, even with no bulbs in it. There was something else about the daughter experiencing a shadow person, and that the niece did live with them, allegedly experienced things, but she moved out before all of this shit happened. And that is on her quote. But it's often hard to find a consistent retelling of this throughout multiple newspapers, blogs, or videos, so it's up to you to decide if you trust that those two have experienced anything. The eldest son I mentioned before started going through mood shifts. In fact, during one episode, the family alleged that he attacked his cousin with the intent to rape her. Fun fact, but not fun at all, is that they had their son arrested and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. He stayed in the hospital for 44 days before returning to the house, and suspiciously, but not suspicious at all by the way, the paranormal activity stopped when he left and returned when he came back. It wasn't until after allegedly seeing two full-blown apparitions of one ghost with a long black hair and black eyes and the other with white hair and eyes, allegedly wearing a pinstripe tuxedo, which is surprising that they managed to even see a tuxedo on a ghost. That never seems to happen. Finally, after seeing those two, the Snedeker family called in the Warrens. The Warrens investigated the home, claiming that people were slapped, beaten, pushed, and slammed to the floor. An investigation into the home revealed that one of the undertakers of the funeral home was allegedly found guilty of necrophilia. Although that last bit of information is completely false, there is no proof that the undertaker of the funeral home was ever found guilty of necrophilia. The only time this is mentioned in Google searches is thanks to the Warrens and Snedeker families, so it's probably completely made up. In fact, funnily enough, the eldest son, the one with schizophrenia, was the one who had necrophiliac tendencies according to a National Paranormal Association website. So, just saying. Now, sadly enough, there is no video on the Warrens channel about the Snedekers that I could find. But what I can do for right now, though, is talk about Ray Garton and his allegations against the Warrens. The most infamous quote from the Snedeker case came directly from the novelist Ray Garton, who wrote in the book In a Dark Place, which goes over the Snedekers. Ray claimed it was difficult to write the story as true because no one in the family could keep their stories straight. How suspicious. When Ray went to Ed about the situation, Ray alleges that Ed told him not to worry, that the family was crazy, and that all the people who come to us are crazy. You'd think sane people would come to us? Ray alleges that Ed knew Garton wrote novels prior to working with him, so he told Garton to just make the story up. How much of this is true, I have no clue, and I can't confirm anything as it's Ray's word versus a very dead Lorraine Warren. So while Lorraine didn't get time to snap back at Ray, she did get the time to state how she was displeased with the movie known as The Haunting in Connecticut. The Haunting in Connecticut started filming in 2007 and was released to the public in March of 2009. It's an understatement to say that it absolutely dramatizes nearly all of the events, just like the Conjuring movies. Of course, it's very dramatic, but Haunting in Connecticut was so dramatic that Lorraine got upset with the creators for faking so many experiences and going completely off the facts that I actually want to mention that because apparently Lorraine was happy with how Conjuring 1 and 2 were done and allegedly stayed true to the Warrens' investigations on those cases. So it's interesting to see her get upset with a movie for once because Conjuring 1 and 2 are very clearly also dramatic as fuck, baby girl. But I will mention that she was not brought on to help guide the producers or Haunting in Connecticut, unlike with Conjuring 1 and 2, so a little saucy there. There is essentially nothing else to the case besides what I provided so far, so as a result, I'll end with how I feel about it. It's also hard to believe the family when there are not only claims of drug and alcohol addiction, but that the son was literally diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they openly admitted that the activity stopped when he left and just so happened to come back when he came back. How am I supposed to believe that paranormal activity occurred in the household when the main source of the alleged activity happens to have one of the most severe mental illnesses to exist? Like, excuse me? But I'll leave it up for you guys to decide as always. Do you believe the abductors were truly being haunted by the dead who came to the Hallahan funeral home? Do you believe the drug allegations against the parents, niece, and eldest son? Do you believe this story at all, considering there is zero evidence from either the Warrens or the abductor family ever provided? Do you believe that the drugs made the parents hallucinate the acts that their schizophrenic son was doing was the work of a demon? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, stay creepy.